Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through the data, the reports, the sources, so you get the crucial insights fast. Today, we're tackling an industry that, well, you've probably never given a second thought to. It seems niche, maybe even obscure. But it's actually seeing explosive growth, and it's surprisingly important for, global food systems. We're talking about the global feed glucanase market. Our guide for this is a really detailed analysis from cognitive market research called Global Feed Glucanase Market, Growth and Forecasts. So, our mission today. Let's unpack what feed glucanase is, figure out why it's growing so fast, and see where it's making the biggest impact globally. Think of it as a shortcut to getting smart on this very specific but vital sector.
Exactly. And for you listening, understanding these, let's say, hyper-specific market trends can be incredibly revealing. They really shine a light on much broader economic shifts, technological leads, especially in huge industries like animal nutrition. It's often in these, well, less flashy areas where the real innovation happens.
Okay, so let's start right there. Feed glucanase. What is it exactly? The source calls it digestive enzyme supplementation in feed additives. Kind of a mouthful.
Yeah, it is a bit technical, but think of it simply like this. Animal feed, especially grains, has stuff in it, complex carbs like beta-glucans that animals find hard to break down, particularly poultry and pigs. Glucanase is basically an enzyme, like a tiny biological key, that unlocks these components that breaks them down. So what does that mean? More nutrients get absorbed from the same amount of feed. It's all about efficiency, making feed work harder.
Right, efficiency. And the demand numbers really back that up. This market, which like we said, most haven't heard of, was already worth nearly $500 million back in 2021. 492.267 million to be exact. And get this, it's expected to hit $650.1 million by 2025. Then looking out to 2033, it's forecast to reach 11,133.81 million. Over $1 billion. That's a compound annual growth rate, a key AGR of 7.2%. Okay, let's unpack that. Those are really impressive figures for something working behind the scenes.
Yeah, they really are. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that this growth, that 7.2%, it signals a really fundamental shift. It's not just about producing more feed, it's about producing feed smarter. It shows this global push for efficiency.
Sure.
Using resources better, maybe cutting down waste, improving animal health, getting more output with the same or maybe even less input. It's a cornerstone of modern farming tech.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting because this growth isn't just concentrated in one spot. It's truly global. So let's take a quick trip around the world, region by region, using this data. We'll start in Asia Pacific, which is already the biggest market. So Asia Pacific, nearly $200 million in 2021, specifically $186.077 million. It's projected to more than double, hitting $436.515 million by 2033. That's a solid 7.375% CAGR.
Wow, doubling.
Yeah, and China, no surprise maybe, is leading that charge. Their market is also set to more than double, from about $74 million to over $176 million. But if you want a real acceleration story within APAC, look at India.
India, yeah.
Their market is just surging. Projected CDR of 7.677%. Going from about $32 million to over $78 million. That really points to developing agricultural economies just racing to maximize feed efficiency.
Well, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? In places like China and India, you've got huge growing populations, increasing demand for animal protein. It's relentless. So making feed more efficient, that directly helps make livestock production more sustainable, more cost-effective. It's absolutely vital for their food security, for their economic growth.
Okay, so massive growth in Asia. But it's not just Asia. Let's hop across the Pacific to North America. Still a very strong picture. This region was over $130 million in 2021, $131.435 million, and is forecast to climb near $300 million by 2033, $294.789 million. That's a growth rate of 6.945% CAGR. Still very solid.
Right. And the U.S., well, it's the giant there, isn't it? Projected to go from $110 million to over $247 million. It's a mature market, yeah. But that steady growth shows glucanase is still delivering value for American producers.
But what's really catching my eye in North America is Mexico.
Out.
Yeah, it actually has the highest growth rate in the region, and 8.075% CAGR. Expected to go from around $6.8 million to over $18 million. That suggests a really significant acceleration in adopting these advanced feed techniques there. Canada's growing to steadily about $14 million to $29 million.
Interesting. Mexico leading the regional growth rate. Okay, so let's cross the Atlantic. Europe, what's the story there?
Europe generated over $117 million in 2021, expected to reach over $260 million by 2033. 264.744 million. That's a TAG of 7.114%. Pretty steady growth. You've got the big players, Germany, UK, France, all contributing significantly. Germany going from 24 million to nearly $53 million, UK from about 18 million to $39 million, France from $15 million to almost $33 million.
Okay, standard players.
But here's the surprise in Europe. The segment labeled Rest of Europe, so countries outside those main ones, that segment has the highest regional CAGR, a whopping 9.047%.
9%. Wow.
Yeah, going from about $15 million to over $45 million. So that tells us, even in developed markets, this isn't just a big country thing anymore. The value is being recognized much more broadly, spreading into smaller economies, too. It's becoming quite widespread.
That is interesting. It shows the technology is really diffusing out. Okay, what about the Middle East?
The Middle East is seeing rapid expansion, too. It jumped from around $23 million, $23.137 million in 2021, and is heading towards nearly $60 million, $58.391 million by 2033. That's a 7.548% CAGR.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, and leading markets there, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the UAE, they're all showing strong growth, suggest real investment in modernizing livestock farming. Saudi from $4.4 to $11.4 million, Turkey $5.4 to $13.3 million, UAE $4.1 to $10.6 million.
And actually, the rest of the Middle East subregion shows the fastest growth there, doesn't it? Almost 8% CAGR.
You got it, 7.935%, from $4.2 million up to $11.1 million. Again, showing that broad adoption trend. Now, Africa often gets overlooked in these global views, but the growth here is particularly strong and consistent. Total market nearly $15 million, $14.768 million in 2021, forecast to hit over $37 million, $37.416 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 7.69%. Very healthy.
Indeed. And within Africa, Nigeria really stands out, right? One of the highest growth rates we've seen anywhere, nearly 8%.
Exactly, 7.907% CAGR. Going from about $2.7 million to over $7 million, that must signal a major push for efficiency as, food demand rises across the continent. South Africa is also significant, nearly tripling its market from about $6 million to $15 million.
Yeah, a key player there.
Okay, last stop, South America. Revenue here went from just under $20 million, $19.691 million in 2021, projected to reach nearly $42 million, $41.951 million by 2033. The CAGR is 6.843%, consistent growth.
And Brazil leads the way there, I assume.
Yep, Brazil's the leader, set to more than double its market from $7.5 million to over $16 million. But you also see solid growth in Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile. It's continent-wide adoption, really. Argentina, $3.2 to $6.8 million. Colombia, $2.1 to $4.2 million. Peru, $1.7 to $3.5 million. Chile, $1.5 to $2.9 million.
And the rest of South America shows decent growth, too.
Yeah, 7.184% each year for that segment, from $3.7 million up to $8.3 million.
Okay. So if we pull back and connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is this technology, Feed Glucanase, being adopted consistently globally across really diverse economies and agricultural systems. It really reflects these massive global trends, doesn't it? Optimizing agriculture, making resources stretch further. I mean, especially with rising food demands worldwide, it touches on efficiency, sustainability, by potentially cutting feed waste, maybe even animal welfare. Farmers everywhere are clearly looking for these kinds of edges.
So what does this all mean? I mean, what does this mean for you listening?
Well, it means that understanding these, seemingly tiny trends like enzymes in animal feed actually helps you grasp the huge forces reshaping global food production, economic development. These are the hidden gears driving efficiency and resilience in ways we don't normally see day to day. Yeah, and it raises some important questions too, doesn't it? Thinking long term. How much does this kind of specialized tech really boost animal welfare through better digestion? How vital is it becoming for global food security, making feed go further? And, what are the ripple effects on the supply chain as demand for these enzymes just keeps climbing? It makes you think.
Absolutely. So listening to all this, hearing these numbers, these trends, what stands out most to you, Dave? So just to wrap it up, the global feed glucanase market. It's a perfect example of one of those hidden industries, right? Surprisingly dynamic, growing fast, and quietly making a big difference in animal nutrition and ultimately our global food systems.
And that really shows the power, I think, of doing a deep dive like this. Looking closely at specific source material, like this report, it lets you uncover these crucial insights, things you'd easily miss in just the headlines. It gives you a much more nuanced view of what's really driving change.
So here's a final thought to chew on. How many other specialized industries like this one are out there, unseen by most of us, but quietly revolutionizing their fields, contributing to these massive global shifts? What are some you might encounter, maybe even indirectly, in your own world? Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we sift through a whole pile of sources to pull out the key insights, basically giving you that shortcut to being really informed. Today, we're diving into something, well, pretty fascinating and actually really impactful, the feed glucanase market. It's dynamic, it's evolving fast. Yeah, we've looked at sources highlighting how biotechnology, livestock efficiency, and all these changing regulations are kind of coming together here. So, our mission today: cut through that complexity and give you, our listener, a clear view of this high potential area. We'll focus on what really drives the market dynamics.
All right, let's jump in. Looking at this feed glucanase market, what's really powering the growth we're seeing? What are the main
That's really
drivers?
interesting, isn't it? It largely boils down to this constant search for more efficiency in animal nutrition. Glucanase enzymes, they're key because they break down these things called non-starch polysaccharides in feed.
Okay, non-starch polysaccharides, like the tough stuff in grains. Exactly. Think of them as complex carbs, almost like indigestible fibers that animals normally struggle with. By breaking those down, glucanase really boosts nutrient absorption, and that improves the feed conversion ratio, or FCR, quite dramatically.
FCR, right. Feed conversion ratio,
Yeah.
how much feed it takes to get growth.
Precisely. And this isn't just a small improvement. Some sources point to maybe a 3 to 5% cut in feed cost per animal just from better FCR.
Wow, 3 to 5%. That sounds huge for big operations.
Oh, absolutely. For a large poultry or swine farm, feed can be, what, 60, 70% of their costs?
Yeah.
So that kind of saving, it adds up to millions every year. It really is that more growth for less input idea in action, a real game changer.
That FCR boost is clearly massive. Is that the main thing, or are there other, maybe broader industry pressures pushing this along too, from industrial farming itself?
That's a really good point, because it's definitely not just one thing. It's multifaceted. You zoom out, you see the global expansion of industrial livestock farming. That's another huge driver.
Right, these massive commercial farms.
Yeah, and they constantly need feed additives that are cost-effective but also high performance. Glucanase fits right in. In these intensive systems, it's vital. It improves how well feed is digested and reduces something called gut viscosity.
Gut viscosity, like it makes the gut contents less thick.
You got it. Less thick, less sticky. That means nutrients get absorbed way more efficiently. So you end up with healthier animals, they grow faster, and the whole operation becomes more sustainable because you're using resources better.
Okay, and with farming getting bigger globally, I guess the rule makers, the regulators must be getting more involved too. How are those shifts impacting glucanase?
Definitely. And this touches on how we produce food, the ethics involved, all of that. There's a really strong global push away from using antibiotics just to promote growth, antibiotic-free growth promoter.
Right, the AGP restrictions, we hear a lot about that.
Exactly. Authorities in big markets, the EU, the US, China, they're cracking down on just routinely adding antibiotics to feed. So natural alternatives like glucanase, they're becoming the go-to choice.
So it's filling that gap left by antibiotics.
It is, but it's more than just compliance. Our research actually shows consumers are demanding antibiotic-free meat. That means retailers are actively looking for suppliers using solutions like glucanase. So there's a real market pull, not just a regulatory push.
Interesting. So consumer demand is actually driving adoption too.
Absolutely. It changes the economics. These enzymes help with gut health, digestion efficiency, and they fit perfectly with this bigger focus on food safety, compliance, and just building trust with consumers.
Okay, so we have these clear benefits, powerful drivers like efficiency, industrial scale, regulations, even consumer demand. But markets always have hurdles, right? It's never completely straightforward. What are the big challenges or strengths the glucanase market is facing?
You're right. It's definitely not without its challenges. One pretty significant issue is that glucanase itself can be quite sensitive
Sensitive to what?
to environmental conditions. Remember, these are enzymes, which are proteins. Like many proteins, they can lose their effectiveness if they get exposed to extreme pH levels, or, and this is a big one, high heat during feed processing, like when they make pellets, or even just inside the animal's digestive system, which is acidic.
Okay, so they can basically break down or stop working if not handled right.
Exactly. And that sensitivity means manufacturers have to invest quite a lot in creating advanced formulations, things like protective coatings or engineering more robust enzyme structures.
And I bet that adds cost.
It definitely does. It drives up the R&D costs and the production costs quite a bit,
Yeah.
which leads us straight into the next challenge, the initial cost of actually adding these enzymes to the feed.
Ah, the upfront investment.
Yeah. Even though the long-term benefits better FCR, healthier animals are really well documented, that first cost can be a barrier. Especially, in regions where margins are super tight or for smaller farms, it could feel like a big leap, even if the ROI is there down the line.
So they need to really see the proof, the measurable benefit, before committing.
Precisely. The value proposition has to be crystal clear.
Hmm.
And then there are the regulatory hurdles we sort of touched on, getting approvals.
Right, the red tape.
Yeah. Any new feed enzyme, before it can be sold, have to go through some really rigorous testing. It needs approvals from food and feed safety authorities in all the major markets.
EU, US, China.
Exactly. And these processes, while they're not fast, they can take years. Lots of trials, lots of data needed.
Which means delays getting new products out there.
Yes, delays in market entry, and it also adds significantly to the cost of commercializing new enzyme technologies. That can make it harder for smaller, innovative companies to compete.
Wow, okay, so sensitivity needing complex formulations, the upfront cost barrier, and then this whole regulatory maze. Sounds like a tough environment in some ways. But let's flip that coin. What about the future? Despite these challenges, what are the exciting trends or innovations that are actually shaping the industry? What breakthroughs are happening?
Oh, absolutely. This is where the industry gets really clever. A major trend right now is the development of multi-enzyme complexes.
Multi-enzyme, so not just glucanase.
Right. Instead of using glucanase alone, producers are combining it with other enzymes. Things like xylanase that targets different plant fibers and protease, which helps digest proteins specifically.
Like a cocktail of enzymes?
Kind of, yeah. It creates a broader attack on all those different anti-nutritional factors in the feed. The result is often even better animal growth, better performance overall. It's a more holistic approach to digestion.
That makes a lot of sense. What else is on the horizon?
Well, another really exciting area is expanding where glucanase is used, moving into new markets,
Like,
specifically aquaculture, fish farming, and also ruminant nutrition, so cattle. Right.
okay. Because it's mostly been poultry and swine up to now, right?
Primarily, yes. But there's new research, new customized formulations being developed that are making it effective for fish and even for cattle. These are pretty big, largely untapped markets, so they represent significant new growth potential. And it allows for really tailored enzyme blends for what each specific species needs digestively.
Unlocking new value chains, as you said. Very interesting. Anything else?
Yes, and this one directly tackles that sensitivity issue we talked about earlier. It's the advancement in thermostable enzyme technologies.
Thermostable, meaning heat resistant.
Exactly. Biotech innovators are developing glucanase that can actually withstand the high temperatures used in feed pelleting and processing without losing their activity.
Oh, that's huge. That solves a major problem.
It really is a game changer. These more robust enzymes are incredibly attractive, especially for the big commercial feed producers. They need additives that are reliable, that survive their manufacturing processes, and deliver consistent results.
You know, listening to all this, what really strikes me is how it all connects. From this tiny enzyme working on nutrient absorption, all the way up to global food supply chains and what consumers want. It really shows how deep these dives can go. So we've covered the forces driving the feed glucanase market, looked at the hurdles, and explored some really cool innovations shaping its future. Hopefully you, our listener, now have a much clearer picture of this vital, complex sector.
Yeah, and maybe just a final thought to leave you with. As you think about all this, consider how these kinds of biotech advances in feeding animals might ripple out, how they could reshape not just the farm economics, but maybe our whole global food system, and even what we expect when we look for sustainably produced food. It's definitely something to ponder.
Absolutely. A fascinating connection. So whether you're involved in biotech, animal nutrition, or agricultural investment, there's clearly a lot happening, a lot of opportunity in this space. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.